Hello, hello, hello. Think I'm live. I think I'm live. Let's see. Oops, I can see myself yet. Let me move. Which has a second microphone. Highways are fumbling around. Okay, here we go. All right, give me 2 seconds. Now we can rock and roll. All right, let's go, let's go, let's go. Thank you guys so much for joining. It is Elevate and Engage time again. Love it. I'm going to share my screen. I'm on time today. So proud of myself. New leaf, new leaf. Let's see. So proud of myself. All right. Let me share my screen. It's funny, but just while we're waiting for me, I realized that, the whole new Zoom thing, if you haven't tried it out yet, I know a lot of people are confused, but if you actually create an event, it'll save and you can go back to that same place over and over again, which is nice. And that's apparently what I'm doing on here, and it makes it so much easier for me. I'm going to get over to the groups. All right. Yes, and you can see my screen. All right, if you're here live, hashtag live. If you are watching on the replay, hashtag replay. We have a fun one today. So if you were at the challenge, content's what it's all about. I do believe content is one of the most important parts of our business. And the reason I believe that is because I think it is imperative, like so important for us to become thought leaders in our sector, in our little world. And it doesn't mean you need to be, the be it end all. You don't need to be an Amy Porterfield or Gary V. Although why not, right? You don't need to be though, if that's not what you're after. But you need people to know who you are, what you're all about. You need people to be able to tell somebody else, right, that that's what you do. If somebody's like, oh God, I'm struggling to grow my business, I want somebody else to be able to say, hey, you should contact Erica. That's what she does. She helps coaches grow their businesses via growing a personal brand into thought leadership via content, right? The reason content is so important is because it does the entire KLT process before you ever even speak to somebody, or possibly after you speak to somebody before they become clients of yours. And so you want to have as many touch points as humanly possible for them to make that decision to become one of your clients. And we can do that through literal technical funnels, but we can also do that through just putting out content and making sure we're in their way. And then once you get to the stage of ads, we can do that through ads and creating almost a back-end funnel with your content. You're gonna want all that content when that time comes. So today, the ultimate guide to content that captivates. All right, so let me stop there. Content's king, but what is queen? What is queen? We say elevate and engage. Engagement. We need engagement. So you can put out content after content after content, but if nobody is engaging with it, so sometimes you might be seeing crickets, but you might be getting DMs. You might be having people contact you. That's okay. It doesn't have to be right on the front. What I mean, obviously we want it on the front, but some of you have businesses where people would never comment, hey, I've got some sort of, I don't know, mental health issue. Maybe they don't want to put that out there for the world to see. So maybe they can DM you, and that's okay. Whichever one, but as long as people are seeing what you're doing before you get into conversations, or seeing what you're doing after you get into conversations, so that they stay in your world. That's what we're talking about by engagement. They are engaging with it. Preferably they're commenting and leaving messages, but one way or the other. You'll know it's working when you start having more conversations. All right, let's dive in. How many of you have scrolled past countless posts on social media only to stop on one that truly caught your eye? So, like you're like rah, 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 scrolling, and then you're like, ooh, we need to start. Screen capture, screen capture, screen capture. What made you stop? If you don't know, then I'm going to give you some tips today. But what I would love for you to do, sorry, I have like a hair in my eye. I'm going to give you some tips today. But what I really want you to do is see what's making you stop. Start screen capturing every time you stop and put those in a folder and then go back and look and see, are there any words, colors, pictures, phrases. What is it that's making you stop? So today we are decoding that stop factor. Let's go. So S. All right. So everybody that watches me knows I love to do I'm going to hashtag everybody on here just in case anybody is around and wants to come. I like to do the acronyms because I'm cheesy like that. So our acronym today starts with an S. If you're taking notes, S, speak to your audience. Speak to your audience. So what do we mean by that? Well, understand your audience. Know what your audience really wants and what they're all after, what they're about. You want to know exactly. Sometimes we talk about people's problems, right? But what we really want to talk about is their symptoms, right? So when we say, hey, what's keeping them up at night? And somebody says, I need more money or I need more clients. That's like the overreaching problem. But what is the symptom of that problem? What's really like, or what's the underlying factor? So is it because, their kids are getting bullied because they can't buy them the shoes that they really want to buy them and they feel like it's their fault? Is it, that they promised their kids they were going to take them to Disney and they don't have the money to? Is it that they can't pay the bills? They might be, losing their house. I mean, what is it that's really, really bothering them? So if you can get down to the nitty gritty, owing money, massive debt, anything like that, wow, that can really speak to them. So a lot of times you can generalize some of these problems. You want to say, obviously really needing money, but if you understand, what stage of the game they're in or a little bit more about them, like for example, a lot of my audience, they are around my age, and I want to say ages because, give it plus or minus 10, but closer to the getting ready to retire or retirement stage than the rest. So their concerns are going to be a little bit different. Like maybe they want to have something going on that's fun and exciting and brings in money while they're retired. Maybe they need that money to fund their retirement. Maybe they need that money to fund their grandkids' college education because they know their kids aren't going to be able to. Whatever it is, if you could speak to those types of things in your content and in your stories, it's going to be a lot more powerful. And you don't have to do it like every single one in every single story. No, you choose one, you do it, and then in the next video, you do another one. That's really powerful. So when we're talking about speaking to your audience, really dive deep on that understanding and what they're all about. You want to be able to use certain things. So obviously, if we can get them to engage with us by understanding who they are, that's because we've really reached them at a certain level, right? How can we really understand who they are? Well, ask them about certain things, certain problems, certain scenarios, whatever it is that you have in your head. You can do polls, you can do questions. I put out a question before we went live on today. What stops your scroll? I want to know. I want to know what's stopping your scroll. It might be different than what's stopping my scroll. So if you didn't see that, go back there and answer in there. But what stops your scroll? So figure out what your audience is really after. And then, that question obviously was twofold. I'm helping you figure it out, how to engage with your audience. But at the same time, if you start answering in there, it's going to give me some insight as well. See that? All right. So next one. Tailor your messages that resonate. That's the thing. I'm just checking my notes, make sure I hit it all. Yep, that's it. So just make sure you're speaking to your audience. All right, next one. Uh-oh, what happened here? I don't know what that blank one was. P, paint with stories. So if you're taking notes, we're at S and P. We do acronyms if you're just showing up. So we always do not always, but a lot of times I'm cheesy like that. I love acronyms. So today it's SP, paint with stories. So I talked about that already, right? If you can figure out what's really eating at them and not just money, not just clients, like really dive deep and talk about, being able to, so for example, one of my clients helps with pain. And so if she can tell stories about having back pain, but now being able to pick up your grandchildren, if her audience is my age, I don't know how old her audience is, but pick up your grandchildren, or if it's a younger mom, chase your kids around or whatever it is. So if you can help somebody with that chronic back pain and they have chronic back pain, they're like, oh my God, she's totally speaking to me. So that is the thing, is if you can create these stories around it. Do the stories have to be true stories? No, they can be scenarios. Think about when you get caught up in this, there are a lot of gurus out there that will make you feel like you cannot move until you have, 10 testimonials or whatever. That is so not true. Look on TV at the massive companies out there that are doing commercials and advertising. When they paint with stories, do you think that they're doing an actual real person? They're doing scenarios of what happens when you use my product, or what happens when you follow these steps or something like that. That's what they're doing. I mean, every now and then they might have some, true to life people on there, but we all know most of the people in those commercials, they're actors, right? So that's not even the real person in there. So don't stress yourself out beyond belief. Use statistics. Use other people's results if they're using what you're talking about, whatever it is. But paint with stories, and it doesn't have to be a testimonial. It can be scenarios, like I was talking about the person with the bad back. A, adapt to platforms. Oh, let me go back and just reverse. Let me talk about storytelling first. I'll just stay here and talk about it for a second. All right, I'll go back. So crazy. Oh, please. All right, so stories. One of the things I want to talk about was stories. Remember, a lot of times what we do is we all have heard like the hero story, right? The reality is your clients are in it for themselves. They're not in it for you. Until you hit the level of celebrity where people want to know what you ate for breakfast, even if you're talking about business, then you're not there yet, right? And most of us are never going to be there. Most of us are never at that stage. So the hero shouldn't necessarily be us. We want them to see themselves in our stories. So they're actually the hero, right? We're the guide. What is that? The Yoda. We're the Yoda of the stories. We are the guide. We want to help them become their own hero. You can show it through stories. You can show it through maybe a story of yourself being the hero, but make sure you're relating it to them becoming that hero. That's super important. And I left a little bit of that out. Make sure that when you tell stories, you think about the different elements. You want to start with a hook. Like I started this with a question, right? I want to pull you in right off the bat. You want to do that in your reels, in your videos, in your posts, everything. And start with a question or some type of a hook to engage them in what you're doing. Very, very, very powerful. And make sure that you always have some sort of conflict, right? That's the problem or what's really deep down bothering you. And then the solution, how are they going to get through it? So today I'm presenting you with, at the beginning, what was the problem? Maybe we don't know how to get the social media scrolls to stop. Maybe we want some tips on how we can get more engagement on our posts. So that was the beginning of this, right? Now we're talking about how you can make it happen. So the first one was knowing your audience. Knowing your audience, speak directly to them. And then the second one, paint with stories. Stories are so important, and they talk about it more and more now than ever before. But let's be honest, look back to the beginning of time. The way we have always learned has been through stories. The way your parents taught you, the way their parents taught them, always, fairy tales, fables, everything is a Bible. Like there are stories after stories after stories. So as long as time goes back, you'll see storytelling. Okay. One more thing before I get off this page. I was just looking at my notes, and this isn't even in there, but it reminded me of something. So a long time ago, I think this was from StoryBrand, but the idea is to keep an Excel spreadsheet every single day at the end of a day. And if you have my at time management, one of my documents has this as one of the questions that you should answer. I think it's the power sheet. But anyway, as one of the questions that you should answer, you should always be able to find a story every single day. And the idea behind this is we can turn our everyday stories into stories that will resonate with other people. And then we tie it into what we're doing. Please, asterisk, star, that last part I said, tie it into what we're doing. You don't want to just tell stories. I talk about the going viral with the cat video. Nobody cares if you're not selling cat stuff or talking about cats. You don't want to do that. Same thing goes for this. When you're telling stories, don't just tell random stories. Make sure they're stories that are relevant to your audience and will help them, move them, inspire them, educate them, do something for them in their business, right? So if you're at the grocery store and somebody hits the back of your heels and you want to tell a story about that, write that down. And if you can't think of what the connection is right now, then maybe in your calendar, you block out time on Friday or Saturday, maybe Saturday when you're calm and you're like, I'm going to go back through my stories. I'm just going to add some keywords to it. If you can think of the keywords at the time, obviously write the keywords, but write the story in as many words as you can. And then what? And then write some keywords to it. Why keywords? Because later on, when there's 500 stories in there, you want to be able to do a Control F or whatever that is for Apple, search for a keyword. And maybe the keyword is, what was my story? Oh, if you get hit in the ankles from behind, right? Maybe the end of that story is, I was so mad, but then I caught myself and they apologized and I turned around and I realized, that it was an old student. We started talking and it became a new client, whatever. I mean, maybe something like that. So somehow you don't have to make up that story. I'm talking about real life stories that happened. I did make that one up, but I'm talking about something that actually happens throughout the day. Write the whole story down so you know. Then later on, you can make it relevant. Sometimes it's better to bite our tongue. That could be what your story was about. It could be about, networking wherever you are, in the strangest places, you never know, something like that. But write down stories every day. And if you can come up with some links to your business, then you can use those. Where can you use those? Everywhere in social media. You want to do a picture maybe of like a angry person or a person hitting your ankle. I don't know if you could get that maybe with some AI pictures, some sort of picture. And then frustrated person, then tell the story and then link it in, right? The hook. How I got a new client in the most, inconvenient way or whatever. You want to engage them in some way. All right, I'm moving on. So the A, adapt to platforms. Now, I am a yes and no on this one, and I'm going to tell you why. Everybody says that all of the platforms are so different, and you do different things on different platforms, and that may be true. That may be true. And when you have a team, like a Gary V size team, it's a lot easier to do this, right? At your level, wherever you are right now, my guess is you do not have a Gary V size team, or maybe even a VA. Maybe you don't even have a VA. So how can you adapt to platforms without doing that? Well, you can use things like, if you have a long form video, think of ways to repurpose, right? If you do a long form video, are you going to put that long form video on TikTok? No, but you could make clips from maybe Opus. You can make clips of that video into reels, and then maybe you can repurpose that onto TikTok. You can repurpose that into shorts. The long form can go into a YouTube channel. So that one long form video, my favorite way, just in case you're wondering, to repurpose, if you can do one long form video, and I mean by long form, it could be 4 minutes. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes. If you're trying to rank higher on YouTube, you might want to look around and see what the people are the length of videos they're doing in your space, and then match that. But for purposes of what we're talking about, of getting your message out there, of getting people looking at your stuff, and the more you can put yourself out there, the more you can repurpose and get it across, you're going to be way better off. So what I said was take a long form video, make it into a clip, and you can make it vertical, right? And then put it on that platform. That's how I would adapt to the different platforms. Another way I would say is, on Instagram, we write those long captions, right? We write those super long captions. TikTok, nobody reads the captions. I realized that the other day. I was posting like these really long captions. Number one, nobody reads them, but number two, they look ridiculous. So on Instagram, I do kind of think they look ridiculous there too, but people read them, so it's worth it. But on TikTok, they don't. And I've heard this from several experts. So on TikTok, what do you want to do? You want to put 2 lines maybe of something that's going to get their attention, something that you want them to know, because that's all they're going to see, and move on. So those are ways that you can adapt to the different platforms. Another one. Okay, long form video I was talking about. Sometimes we can say like a 4-minute video is long form. You can put that on Facebook, no problem. Instagram, I wouldn't. LinkedIn, I would not either on LinkedIn. They like it fast. They want those short form videos on LinkedIn. So more of an Instagram reel or a TikTok, I think would be better for LinkedIn. But still, you can get that all out of one video. So that's how you can adapt to platforms if you need to, based on what you're doing. And then you can pull clips out of there for Twitter. You can pull clips out of there to create an email, or repurpose the whole thing into a blog post, whether that's a real blog or Facebook, those long posts, that type of thing. Use clips for quote posts, that type of thing on Instagram, whatever, carousel. Get all your ideas, make a carousel. So that's how you can adapt to different platforms. You're not going to put that carousel on Facebook. Facebook doesn't like those carousels. You can do it on Instagram. Then you're going to save it as a PDF and put it on LinkedIn. You see? All from one piece of content. So that's how we can adapt to the different platforms. I'm going to make sure I did not miss anything. Tools. Absolutely. The more we can use tools, the better off we are. So what are some tools? I said Opus. There is another one that does what Opus does, but I think Opus is less expensive. You can use VAs to help you do it. Virtual assistant. If you don't have one, hit me up. My agency does that. We do not hire out VAs, but we do packages of different things, and editing videos is one of those. So what else can you do? What other tools? Descript. Oh my God, I love Descript. I love Descript. People use CapCut to make captions, all sorts of things. I use a free one on my computer to not use my minutes in Descript. I'll put it onto a free one, cut out the main piece of what I want, even if it's a long video. I'll cut out like the fluff at the beginning, the fluff at the end, and then I'll upload it so it doesn't waste my minutes. Anyway, you could do stuff like that. There's plenty of ways to do it, plenty of different software and everything else that you can use. All right, SPAR. If you can't guess it by now, what's wrong with you? If you know me, you've already got this. Let me see it below in the comments. If you know what the word is, let's go. Just a hint, there's only one left after this. All right, so R, rich media engagement. What do I mean by this? I put a little picture in there to remind me what I mean by this. Do variety. So I love video. It's easy for me. I think that, in my opinion, video is the most powerful. I think if you want to be a coach, there is not any way, shape, or form you can get away from doing video. And the reason I think that is because with AI and all of the technology out there right now, more and more people are going to be using that to put themselves out there. And you are the differentiating factor in your business more than anything else. You may do X better than everybody else. You may have this that nobody else has. But the reality is it's going to come down to personal branding and you. And so the more you can put you out there, the better off you are. And the best way to put you is in video. So I'm just going to go with it and say long form video, short form video, my favorite ways. But don't stop there. Again, repurpose or do some other forms. If you absolutely hate video, don't not do media, right? Don't not do it. What else can you do? Carousels, long form post with a picture, tweets, do Pinterest. I didn't even mention it, but you can do video. You can do long form blogs. You can do short, on Facebook, we do those short questions. That's the one that I did before I jumped on here, right? Just with the Facebook background, and Facebook loves that. Do a massive variety. So if you know me, and I didn't even introduce myself, but my name is Erica, and I've been doing this since 2007. Long time. I started a digital marketing agency back in the day and have been obsessed ever since. I love it. I've been coaching almost just as long, probably close. I mean, I started in 2007, so I was already, unofficially coaching back then, but moved it into real coaching after that. Anyway, my point here is the more you can give like a variety of what you're doing, the better off you are. So what is this picture? Poll. You want to be able to do polls. Facebook loves polls. LinkedIn, remember the LinkedIn poll craze? Oh my God, I'm glad that's over. But polls are still effective on LinkedIn. Polls are still effective. Ask questions. Just do those other posts. Quizzes. Ryan Levesque, who loves them. Quizzes are always going to be hot. Quizzes are always going to be hot, and they're always a great engagement tool and fact-finding tool. Do surveys, forms. I've seen a couple of people in their opt-in, like instead of just an opt-in, it's like an entire form. Oh, what do I want to go? Like a survey you have to fill out before you can get the thing. That's very powerful. If somebody goes through that whole survey just to get the free thing, they really want what you have to give, and they want to be in your world. So even if they haven't paid, they have shown that they high interest, which is powerful. So think of different ways to get into this. I started to say earlier and lost my train of thought. I was also back in the day, I also started a school, language school. And so I've studied education and a lot about education, which helps big time with the coaching and the consulting. But one of the things that is big in education is different variety and format. You yourself know. For example, you may love to learn in books. You may be a book person. You may read. And I remember the day, like I would not read electronically. I was so old school. I love reading. I was so old school. I would not read technology. And then I started reading on technology. And then I was like, oh my God, this whole new world opened up, because now I can carry around like books plural. I can have a couple books going at one time, which I absolutely love. Because sometimes I'll read like fiction and then I'll have like one or two non-fiction. Sometimes I'll get like two fictions going in a nonfiction because I may be in the mood for one or the other, whatever. Just saying. So technology is really good, but different format. So if you're a reader, maybe you're a writer, right? Maybe your audience likes to read. I like to write. I like to read. So I'll do a long form post, a lot. And I don't mind doing it because I like it. And I know that some of my people like it. But I also know that I have a lot of people that don't like that. And so I have to have the quick things for them, the reels. Other people like the longer one. Some people love these. They come onto these 45-minute ones that sometimes go longer than 45 minutes. And they eat it up, right? They're like, give me more, give me more. And so it just depends on who you are and what you're all about. That's this section. Make sure you have as much variety as possible because not everybody in your audience is going to consume it in the same ways. The other thing is remember commercials over and over and over and over and over. That's marketing. You want to keep repeating yourself. And an easier way to keep repeating yourself is to change the format, right? Change the format a bunch of different times in different ways. All right, last one. If you didn't guess it, oh my God, what's wrong with you? Spark. Okay, keep consistent quality. Be consistent. This is my big one that I'm working on. If you've heard me a million times say it, be consistent. Figure out how often you're going to post, when you're going to post, what you're going to post, and mark it on your calendar. So I have been going through this year, trying to get consistent myself. And it's hard. I am not going to lie. It is hard. But I've noticed a couple of things about myself. When do I not post? Number one, I think it in my head and I don't write it down. Number two, I write it down and I don't put it in my calendar. Number three, I'll write it on a to-do list to say I'm going to do it tomorrow, but I have not scheduled the time for it. So until you're doing all of that, right? Until you're planning ahead and you know exactly what you're going to say and do in that block of time, because if you have to start thinking before you can do in that block of time, you're never going to get to the do part. It is what it is. But if you're anything like me, and I know that a lot of you are, we've got that squirrel in us. That's who we are, right? We get distracted super quick, super easy. So if you want to keep consistent quality, you're going to have to plan ahead of time. Plan ahead of time. I've been doing some workshops where one whole day is planning and one whole day is doing. And that way, maybe not your entire month is planned, but a big, or probably planned, maybe not done. But you can plan your whole month and maybe not do your whole month. But a big portion of it anyway is done, depending on how fast you are. So be consistent and make sure you know exactly what you want to do. Be intentional. Be intentional. Don't just post to post. So sometimes I kind of know what I want to post and then I go out there and do it. And I totally forgot. I do this when I do lives a lot more than, obviously if I'm doing a recorded video, I don't forget things because I have it all planned out ahead of time. But when I do live video, even though I plan it out ahead of time, I'll forget things like the CTA is the one that I normally forget. Okay, every now and then, just type it in the comments. Don't stress yourself out. Just go, 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 go. Put it out there anyway. Look at my one this morning. So my reel this morning, the lettering was off to the side. I don't know what was going on. I was trying to do it on my phone. I was having some issues. I thought I had it fixed and I posted. When I saw it posted and it was sideways, I had two options. I could delete it and redo it, which wouldn't have taken that long because the video and everything else was already done, or I could just leave it there. So I chose to leave it there. Why? Because I want you moving forward in messy action. Get it going. It's not going to ruin the reel. If somebody's listening to it, they can still hear what they say. Do I suggest you do that to all your reels? No, I do not. Anyway. All right. I think we have like 2 more slides. Hang on. So keep consistent. Let me see if I have anything else. Content calendar. Yes. I love a content calendar, and my clients definitely fight against keeping the content calendar. But let me tell you really quickly, a couple of reasons a content calendar is so amazing. Number one is you plan ahead and you get it all organized. If you if you think of a big company, and I don't know why I just got Oreos in my head. Who makes Oreos? I don't know, but let's just say the company that makes Oreos. If you are a company the size of Oreos, you're planning ahead, right? You know every single thing you're doing at every single time. Why? Because you've got promotions, you have holidays, you have things that you need to work around. So if you're planning ahead, you can get all of that into your schedule. So now you're not promoting late because you were like, oh crap, I forgot, 5 days ago, I should have started promoting this. You're not doing that anymore because you've got it in that content calendar. One great reason, right? Second, same as the first, but you're planning ahead. So it's the planning is getting done. If you're having keep content calendar, that is amazing. Third one, if you have team, you can share some of the chores from a content calendar. So what if you take the first step and you do the Instagram reel, and you've uploaded that video somewhere, right? On your content calendar, you can put a link to the original video for the reel. Now, somebody else can take that original video for the reel. They can edit it. And before you even do it to Instagram, they can edit it for you. They can create a caption for you. They've got your hook. They know what you're doing. They know your CTAs because you have those laid out ahead of time. You even have it on that line, which CTA you want it to go to. So they've got it. It's already in the video because you did the video already. All of that on there, right? Then they can repurpose that for you and start putting it out there. So they're going to give it back to you. It's ready to go. You're going to do your own Facebook, maybe Instagram, Facebook, if you have them attached. You're going to do that. But they're going to take it and put it on LinkedIn and put it on Pinterest and put it on YouTube Shorts and put it everywhere else. How's that? So that's a great reason to keep that content calendar. That in and of itself. If you do not have, you're like, oh, I don't have anybody working for me. Get in the habit now. It's like building those SOPs. Do it now. Don't wait until you have the money, the time, you're too stressed out, you're past the point, whatever it is. Don't wait. Start working the way that you will work once you have a team member doing a lot of that stuff for you. Why? So you have it all in place and you can just hand it over. This is the way it works the best. How do you know that? Because you've been doing it. You've been going through it and you've been writing it down and you've been perfecting it as you go. That's number one. And now you're in the habit of using your content calendar. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Repurposing. We talked about repurposing earlier. So if you use a content calendar, in 3 months from now, you're going to go back and look at those posts that you did 3 months ago. You're going to see which ones were popping, which ones weren't. You're going to take those ones that were popping, you're going to repost them. You're going to maybe recreate some of them and do some new stuff based on those topics or those headlines or whatever it was that you think that made those great. So you're going to be reevaluating all of your stuff and you can keep all of that in your content calendar. Yes, 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 yes. Amazing. What else? It's great. Oh, so we talk about, we want engagement. We want conversations. We want to be talking to people. And everybody's like, I don't really know what to talk about to them. We're coaches. What we do is give. I don't want you coaching in your DMs or even in your phone calls. Maybe a little bit because you want to help them. You want to show them what to do, right? That's okay. You want to give them the blueprint. Awesome. Do that. Give them that coaching, give them the blueprint, and then either they sign on with you or they go off on their own. That's okay too. But not over and over and over, right? That's your business. You don't want to do that. But what can you do? If you see somebody talking about, hey, God, I hate keeping a content calendar. I can't even think of the reasons why I would. Well, maybe I made a clip of that thing that I just said about the content calendar. And I can say, hey, I created this little video that tells you all the reasons why you should. And I send them a link to that video. Powerful. In 2-3 days, I send them a message back and say, hey, did you watch that video? What did you think? Now we're in a conversation based on what they needed and what they were talking about. See how powerful that is? So if you can keep a list of all of your clips, of all of your things that you put out there, maybe you have a separate page for for longer form, like these, elevate and engage, have a separate page, whatever, however you want to do it, organize it however you want to do it. But maybe you have a behind the scenes page for links for your clients. Hey, I know I saw this somewhere. Where is it? Blah, blah, blah. Here it is. Pop. You just give them that link. It's organized. There's a million and one reasons, but do it. Just do it. Drop a comment below. Are you using a content calendar? Yes or no? Yes or no? And are you thinking about using a content calendar? Give me a yes or no. Yes or no. All right. So yes, 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 no, 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 whatever it is. All right. Here we go. Ultimate guide to content that captivates. 5 winning strategies. Speak to your audience. Paint with stories. Uh-oh, I don't know what that is. Little Erica issues there. Adapt to platforms, rich media engagement, and keep consistent quality. You guys have this. You are going to get it going on. All right. When your content sparks interest, your audience's attention ignites. Erica Leary quote. Get your quotes up. Tag me on them. I want to see your quotes. You can see how this is totally Erica, right? It's got my cheesy acronym. And I didn't even put the dot, so you don't necessarily know it's an acronym there. But if you're on here, you do. Words, Erica word, spark, ignite. Stuff I talk about, right? When your content sparks interest, your audience's attention ignites. That's what I talk about. It's literally what I think you should be doing. Power of content. All right. Next week on Elevate and Engage. Hope to see you there. Becoming a beacon. The top 5 insights to elevate your influence. Thursday at 11. All right. Thank you for showing up for me, for you, for your audience, your family. Let's get this going on. You have any questions, comments? I want to hear about them. And chat me if you want. Hold on 1 second.